Sai Ram. Welcome to this study of aldehydes, ketones and carboxylic acids, where we happen to study certain chemical reactions that are associated with aldehydes and ketones in the previous part. So, this part we will be continuing with the same reactions with just a difference that this segment is dedicated to the study of named reactions that are present with respect to aldehydes and ketones. So, before we go to that, let us see some assignment questions which were given at the earlier class, and these are some questions and answers. Which among aldehydes, ketones and carboxylic acids of similar masses, this is important because whenever we do a comparative study, they should be of a same level, have higher boiling point. The answer is that carboxylic acid definitely has, because we have seen that it has an extensive association of carboxylic acid molecules where it can be present as dimers. It has intermolecular hydrogen bonding which favors strong bonding in the carboxylic acids. And therefore, if you want to naturally break the attractions and convert it from liquid to gas, you will definitely need a higher boiling point for this case. Second one, which among ethanol and hexanol is more soluble in water? The answer is ethanol, because we know that solubility in water depends on two aspects. One is how attraction is present between that compound and water. The second one is the hydrophobic part. So, in the hexanol, the carbon chain is pretty large. So, naturally hydrophobic part is more, and therefore, solubility will naturally decrease. Ethanol definitely will have a higher solubility because the hydrophobic part is pretty less in this case. Third one, explain why aldehydes are generally more reactive than ketones in nucleophilic substitution reaction. We had seen in earlier classes that this was attributed to two reasons. One is, in aldehyde you have a small hydrogen group on one side. So, sterically there are no large groups, so easy attack of the nucleophile is possible. The second one is electronically, where ketone groups have electron donating groups on both the sides, whereas aldehydes have electron donating group on only one side. So, therefore, the carbonyl carbon which is there would love to react with nucleophiles, especially in the case of aldehydes. So, these were certain answers for the earlier segments, and now let us go to certain named reactions that are present in this segment, and we will be starting with Clemmensen reduction. The first two reactions that we are going to study here will be the conversion of carbonyl groups with respect to the oxygen which is present, where we know that reduction indicates removal of oxygen, addition of hydrogen. So, what is happening in this case is, these type of carbonyl groups which are present, the oxygen atom is getting removed and hydrogens are being attached to that. So, this conversion is being supported by catalysts, where amalgam catalysts, what are amalgam are? Whichever is present along with mercury. So, amalgam catalysts help us for this sort of conversion from the removal of oxygen to bringing in hydrogen atoms. This was studied by a scientist named as Clemmensen, and therefore, this is called as Clemmensen reduction, where the zinc amalgam was utilized in this case. And where did this H2O actually come from? Now, this H2O, basically if you just see the reaction, maybe you can write it as zinc amalgam and in the presence of HCl and all, but this H2O was obtained, oxygen you can attribute to the oxygen that is present here. But what about this hydrogen? We have always studied that reducing agents, their role is supply how much ever hydrogens are required. So, in this case, this actually tends to supply 2 hydrogen molecules, which means in total 4 hydrogen atoms. 2 have gone with this carbon, 2 have gone with water. But when we write a named standard reaction, we do not write these parts because it is understood that reducing agent will supply hydrogen atoms. So, this is about the study of Clemmensen reduction, where conversion of carbonyl group to alkyl systems that we can see here, and a similar sort of thing you can see here also in Wolff-Kishner reduction. You see the starting reactant and the final product, it is exactly the same. The carbonyl group has just got converted into the alkyl chain It's just that the reagent used is a little different and a small intermediate is formed in between. So what is happening in this entire reaction is the carbonyl group which is present is reacting with hydrazine. NH3 is ammonia, whereas NH2 and along with that another NH2, where one of the nitrogens, the hydrogen parts of this is replaced by another NH2. So how does this reaction take place is this side it's absolutely the same. The carbon gets attached to nitrogen, and how does it get attached? Double bond NH2. So what are the byproducts in this part now? This oxygen and the two hydrogen atoms which are present. So this is how you can get byproduct water in this case. So this is one step. When we consider this further reaction with respect to KOH and ethylene glycol as the reagents, we directly end up getting these type of compounds which were similar to Clemmensen reduction. So the reagents that were used were KOH as well as ethylene glycol were used here, and this sort of conversion was obtained. So the final product was the same, but then this is how the hydrazine compounds are being generated in this case. Now while writing here I happen to show it as a different two-step reaction. Here it is just that in one single stretch they have shown how this entire reaction has happened, where from the intermediate compound the nitrogen gas is released and the hydrogens with nitrogen now come and combine with the carbon atom which is present. So these are two named reactions which involve conversion of a carbonyl group to corresponding alkane systems. This can be asked with a little twist in examination where they may not give you the name of the reaction, they may just ask explain a conversion from carbonyl groups, that is aldehydes or ketones, to corresponding alkanes. So after seeing these two named reactions, now let us see two reactions which are actually practically oriented basis. Now the Tollon's reagent test and Felling's reagent test you are going to see even in the practicals, where if you take aldehydes and treat it with ammonical silver nitrate solution. Now what is this ammonical silver nitrate is? Silver nitrate AgNO3 is mixed in ammonia, that is what it means basically. So when you treat this in a basic medium, you will get a bright silver mirror as such. So like a mirror it can be obtained. So where do you get that mirror is, if you see in the product there is Ag, 2Ag which is formed. So that silver metal which is formed from the ammonical silver nitrate will give the presence of bright silver mirror. Now please understand that in this Tollon's test, if it is done with respect to aldehyde, it can give you a bright silver mirror. This is the observation which is seen if it is an aldehyde. Now that is because the silver is precipitated, but suppose if you take a ketone, it will not give the same observation. Reason being, Tollon's reagent is a weak reagent. What do we mean by weak reagent? It cannot come and attack very strongly, and the presence of the small group here sterically and electronically can support the attack of Tollon's reagent. That thing cannot happen with ketone because both the sides there are large groups. So this is where we see it can be used as a differentiation test between aldehydes and ketones. So this is how the Tollon's reagent test is being done to differentiate, and this is a reaction, an ionic reaction, where in these type of named reaction, more than the reaction, the practical observations are important because these are reactions which are utilized at the PUC level for practicals also. So moving on from Tollon's test, we have Felling's test, which is again a practical aspect, where Felling's reagent, if you treat it with, that is nothing but the copper salt which we call it as Rochelle salt. So that Rochelle salt, if we mix it with aldehyde, we are going to get a reddish brown precipitate in these conditions. So that reddish brown precipitate is due to the carboxylate ions and the copper oxide which has been formed. Aromatic aldehydes will not give this test because once again aromatic aldehydes will have a large benzene ring present. So because of such a large benzene ring, the attack may be difficult in these cases. So that is how Tollon's test and Felling's test can be used to practically analyze the presence of aldehydes as well as ketones. Ketones may not answer this test, but still a differentiation test can make us understand that If it gives some observation, it may be an aldehyde. If it doesn't, it may be a ketone. So, with these tests now, we now got to go into certain specific reactions of aldehyde compounds, where we will study a very important reaction called as aldol condensation. But to study that aldol condensation, we need certain basics about how these reaction mechanisms happen, and that is where this topic of acidity of alpha hydrogen comes into picture. Now, what is alpha hydrogen? That is the first thing that we have to see, where if this is the carbonyl group, the carbons present beside this carbon, it may be on one side or it may be on both the sides, both of them are named as alpha carbon atoms. Those present beside that, beside the alpha carbon atoms, we can name as beta carbon atoms. Alpha, beta, gamma, these are just the positions which are there. Now, the next question comes is, suppose if this has hydrogen, because it has to be balanced. Let me just write a simple example as such, H, and here also we can get some H. So, the hydrogen attached to alpha carbon will be called as alpha hydrogens. These two are also alpha hydrogens. This is also alpha hydrogen. So, now in this structure you are actually able to get 4 alpha hydrogen atoms. Similarly, any hydrogen pattern present on beta carbon can be called as beta hydrogen atoms. So, why this is important is because the presence of hydrogen in these cases will be very important to determine how the reaction proceeds. In the first place here, the alpha hydrogen atoms which are there, they can be moved out very easily because they are present just beside the carbonyl carbon. For example, if this is the carbonyl carbon, we know very well that this will have a delta minus and delta plus because of electronegativity difference, and any hydrogen which is just present beside it can come out as H plus very easily, because if it was only carbon carbon, there would not have been any electronegativity difference. But because there is an inducement of oxygen, what this does is, this makes it delta minus, this makes it delta plus, and we know very well that somebody beside a plus cannot be plus. It has to have a minor negative part which is there. Therefore, hydrogen which is present here, that is the alpha hydrogen, functional group alpha carbon, alpha hydrogen, this can very easily go out as H plus. Now, in this case, if this goes out as H plus, which indicates that it is not taking away any electron. So, what will happen to these 2 electrons now? There were 2 electrons earlier. So, both these electrons after hydrogen goes can stay back to this carbon. I can actually show it like this as 2 dots for the system. So, this is how the 2 dots I can show, and a negative charge, why I am showing it is because we know very well that negative charge indicates excess of electrons. So, the moment I show a splitting like this C and H, there are other things also for balancing, I am just concentrating on this part. If hydrogen goes out without taking any electron, it has come out as H plus. Then the 2 electrons which were here, originally one was of one carbon, the other one was of hydrogen. But now because the hydrogen didn't take, the electron of carbon remains with itself, electron of hydrogen also remains with itself. That is how a carbanion, carbon with anion, negative charge, a carbanion is generated, and this is useful for products of aldol condensation. So, this is about the acidity of alpha hydrogen, where the hydrogen atom present on the carbon atom can act as a very good acidic component, and we know very well from various theories like Arrhenius theory, Bronsted-Lowry theory, that hydrogen ion, whoever leaves hydrogen ion better, H plus better, they will be better acids in this case. So, they are given a point that the acidity of alpha hydrogen atoms of the carbonyl compounds is due to strong electron withdrawing effect of the carbonyl group and resonance stabilization of the conjugate base. So, why it is strong electron withdrawing? Because the carbonyl carbon is partially positively charged. So, here what has happened is, this type of resonance can be obtained where, suppose I had this in the earlier place and this hydrogen has gone out, which means that now the negative charge is present here. this negative charge can come here, this can come here. This is how we study the resonance parts where O minus, Cc, and now it's a double bond. The negative charge indicates 2 electrons, they both have come here, that is why a double bond is generated, and because it will disturb the tetravalency, the bond has gone up and therefore a negative charge is generated. So these two are in resonance with each other. So this is how the speciality of alpha hydrogen atoms can help us understand various reaction mechanisms which are present for our study. So the first set of reactions which we have is aldol condensation of aldehydes, where aldol indicates aldehyde as well as alcohols which is present. So in this case now, for our syllabus we have only the reactions which are present. But this being a named reaction is very important from competitive exam point of view, where if you give ethanol, maybe you can just understand the product which is there, saying I took ethanol, I added dilute NaOH, I got 3-hydroxybutanol. This maybe even you can study by yourself. But if they change the starting compound, then you need to know the mechanism that is being present in this case. So here a compulsory thing is that it should contain alpha hydrogen atom. If it does not contain, then it cannot undertake this reaction. So first let us understand how this entire reaction takes place. So suppose CH3 CHO is present. Now when you use a dilute NaOH, Na plus is only a counter ion. It has no role there. It is just that it has brought in a compound. But OH minus is the one which is acting as a base and it is dilute, that we have to remember. So what does this OH minus do? It always awaits how can I get H plus ions. Now H plus cannot come from here, because please understand that the electronegativity difference was delta minus delta plus. So beside delta plus, it cannot have again a positive part, it can't go out as positive. So therefore this is ruled out. So H plus can go out from here. So how will it go? CH2 C double bond OH. So what has happened here is, of this 3 hydrogen atom, 1, 2, 3, one of the hydrogen atom is gone away. And how is it gone? H plus. So H plus and OH minus combine to form water, and these 2 electrons which were here will go and form a negative charge. This is with respect to one molecule now. So after this step, what happens is, this one molecule which was present, it will react with another molecule of ethanol which is being taken, CH2 minus CHO. Let me just repeat it. I have taken another ethanol molecule and I have taken the main product from the first reaction which is done. Now once again, this will definitely be delta minus delta plus. This is an electron rich center now. So where will electron rich species go and attack? It will naturally attack the electron poor species. So this will come here and attack. So for my easiness, what I will do is, I will write CH3 as it is, this CH3 as it is. This carbon, let me write the hydrogen below. This hydrogen, I have just written it below there, nothing more than that. Who is attacking? CH2 is attacking to this carbon. So that part let me write here, CH2, and that CH2 was followed by CHO. Once again, CH3 is as it is there, C and H, it is just that the H I have written it down. CH2 came and attached here, C double bond OH is as it is. Now this carbon already has 3 bonds, so it cannot have a C double bond O, that is the problem. So what happens here? This one of the bond will go and settle on oxygen. So what is formed here is O minus, because one of the pi bond went up. So to that O minus, how will you stabilize now? We know one part, that any catalyst you take should come out as it is. What did this catalyst do? It had taken H plus from here and become water. So now what happens is, when I give back that water, I will be getting the further products in this way, where in these parts now CH3, CHOH, CH2, C double bond OH, and plus OH minus is generated in this case. How did this OH minus come back now? From water, H plus went and attached to this negative part which is there. So CH3, CH, OH, CH2, C double bond OH. So this is the one which is having aldehyde as well as alcohol also. That is why we tend to call them as aldol. So you can see that the product that is given there in between 3-hydroxybutanol, we can call that as aldol, which is present where aldehyde as well as alcohol is combined in those cases. Now what happens is, if you undertake a strong heating reaction for that, this main product which was obtained, CH3, CHOH, CH2, CHO. Now for this reaction, if I heat it, naturally on heating we will get away the water molecules, and water we know is always beta elimination. So therefore CH3, CH double bond CH, CHO. So what has happened here is, one hydrogen atom from here has gone, OH atoms have gone from here, and as it is, the other part is written with the presence of double bond which is present. So how will you name that compound there? It is a 4-carbon system, so naturally it will be but, and then it is an aldehyde, so it will be butanal, but it is just that you have to also include that double bond system which is there. So here the double bond is for 2nd carbon, so therefore it will be butenal. But for 4 carbons, 2nd carbon has a double bond, so 2-ene, and aldehyde always comes at the corners. So this is how the various mechanism can happen. As I already told you, mechanism is not from the syllabus point of view, but to identify these type of products, this sort of a mechanism will help you to understand how the attack happens at various places in this reaction. So if this was aldol condensation of aldehydes, the next one is aldol condensation of ketones. Now here one thing you got to know is, though the word says aldol, aldehyde and all, now for ketones we should have called it as ketol. Even if you see in the intermediate product, we name it as ketol. But what happens is, this was studied one after the other by the same scientist, so he has happened to give it as aldol condensation. What he basically means to tell here is that aldols as well as ketols have similar reactive spaces. It is just that how they react matters. So even here also alpha hydrogen atom is a must, but generally what happens is, all the ketones and all will have this alpha hydrogen atoms. But some ketones may not have alpha hydrogen atoms, and one such example I would like to show here, where C double bond O, C, CH3, CH3 and CH3. Now how will you name this compound is, go back to your same rules where you can number this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can name it as 2, 2, 4, 4. 4 people are there, so tetramethyl 3-pentanone. Let me repeat it once again, 2, 2, 4, 4, tetramethyl 3-pentanone, because the ketonic group is at 3rd carbon. Now understand here that this is the functional group, alpha carbon is there, no doubt, beta carbon is also there, but beta hydrogens are there, there is no hydrogen atom attached to alpha carbon. So which means that this is an example which does not has alpha carbon atom. So this will not undergo aldol condensation reaction. So that is one basic part, where for aldol condensation reaction, alpha hydrogen atom presence is a must for those reactions. So what are we getting here? Various types of products we are getting, where this propanone can give us products of 4-hydroxy 4-methyl pentane 2-one, and naturally removal of water will give us the final product, which is the aldol condensation product. So this is how these two type of reactions can happen. Please remember that this can also happen with cross aldol condensation. Now what is cross aldol condensation is, where suppose if we take an aldehyde which is ethanol, and supposing if we take another ketone which is propanone. So when these type of reaction happen, various types of products come out, and many types of products come. So the problem is, the separation of the products will not be possible in a clean manner. So no doubt various type of products come out, but then this sort of a system will be very useful if we take any one particular type of starting reagent, that is either an aldehyde, say like ethanol and propanol, or a specific ketone, say like propanone. Moving further now, we happen to see that for aldol condensation, alpha hydrogen atom was a must. Now suppose if there is no alpha hydrogen atom, then how will the reactions conduct themselves? So this was studied by another scientist named as Cannizzaro. So while aldol had a specificity that it should contain alpha hydrogen atom, Cannizzaro reaction says that it should not contain alpha hydrogen atom. So here, whichever compounds do not contain alpha hydrogen atom, they will be able to undergo this Cannizzaro reaction, where you will get a formation of 1 mole of alcohol and another 1 mole of carboxylic acid. If you remember, in the aldol condensation reactions, you are able to see that you are able to get an aldol, and then you are able to dehydrate and remove water and get a combination of alkenes and aldehydes. Even in this case also, you happen to get a combination of alkenes and ketones. But here in Cannizzaro reaction, you will rather get an alcohol as well as carboxylic acid in these cases. Now because it does not have an alpha hydrogen atom, weak alkali solutions, say like dilute NaOH or dilute KOH, cannot be used. You definitely need a very concentrated system, because these alkalis which are there, they are not present now just as a solvent, they are now present as a reactant. If you see in the earlier reactions which were present here, the NaOH which was there was only present as a catalyst, it would take away the H plus and give back, whereas now in this Cannizzaro reactions, you will be able to see that the concentrated KOH and concentrated NaOH, they are part of the reacting system and they will rather contribute to the final product which has been present. So what do we see here now? Two molecules of the same compound. The first example is formaldehyde. Now the moment we take formaldehyde, we can see that there is nothing called as alpha carbon nor alpha hydrogen, because this is the main functional group and there is no carbon present beside it as such. So this is sort of a formaldehyde, and we need to take this as 2 moles. Along with this, KOH can be considered, or NaOH, any of the two parts we can consider. So in these types of reactions, we will generally get where one molecule which is present. In this part, one of the molecule will convert itself into its corresponding alcohol. And what is the corresponding alcohol? It is a 1 carbon system. So naturally 1 carbon system should give methanol. If this was a 2 carbon system, it would have given ethanol. What about the other group which is present? From this we could get alcohol. The other one, where let me show the product this side, it can actually give you methanoic acid, but because there is potassium salt which is present, it will end up giving the potassium salt of the methanoic acid. So normally methanoic acid formula was HCOOH, here it is potassium salt of methanoic acid. So this is how the overall reaction of the parts are taking place, where you are able to get methanol and potassium formate. Formate is actually a common name of this reactions. Similarly, the second example takes benzaldehyde as the compound, where please remember that it does not contain alpha hydrogen atom. How do we know that? Suppose I write the benzene structure. To this I write the functional group. This is benzaldehyde, and in this benzaldehyde now, this is the functional group carbon. So naturally this will be alpha, this will be beta, this will be gamma. As they keep moving further, we go on naming. This can be delta. So on the beta carbon, actually there is one hydrogen. Here also there is one hydrogen, because if you see the tetravalency, you can formulate it. But on alpha you do not have hydrogen, because this carbon already has 4 bonds, 1, 2, 2 on this side, third one is here, fourth one is here. So when the tetravalence is satisfied, it will not have any further hydrogen. So therefore this can attack as the compound which can act for Cannizzaro reaction. So, you are able to see that corresponding alcohol is generated, because you took benzaldehyde, it went on to form benzyl alcohol, and naturally we know that in Cannizzaro reaction, the other type of reaction that has to form is the salt of an acid. It would have found sodium benzoate, it may have formed benzoic acid, but then because there is a sodium hydroxide salt which is present, it is forming here as sodium benzoate. So these are various reactions that we come across in these named reactions which have been present, and these named reactions are important because they are used for specific preparation of compounds, and in industrial uses they find a lot of application. Hope you have been able to follow this up very well, and see you further with other topics of this part. Thank you. Sai Ram.